The costumes are missing, all of them. For a moment, I couldn't understand what was being said. It was the final round of the World Dance Championship. A crisis had struck. The costumes for our dance team, the one I worked for as an administrator, had all disappeared right before the performance. There were 10 dancers set to go on stage. There was no way we could prepare new costumes in time. This is bad, it's starting. Looking at the monitor in the waiting room, I saw the first team already performing on stage. The staff panicked and some of the younger students burst into tears. There was no way I could let them face defeat like this. "I'll buy us some time." When I said that, everyone stared at me in shock. Of course they did. I wasn't a dancer, just an administrator. Buy us time? What are you even planning to do? Nothing. But doing nothing is worse. The announcement was made. Our team's name was called and everyone froze, staring anxiously at the stage. No one took a step forward. "I'll wait until you're ready." With determination, I walked toward the spotlight. I could feel the entire audience turn their attention to me. My name is Ryan. I work as an administrator at a well-known major dance school. My main duties include paperwork and front desk work, but I also film students' lessons for promotion and update the website. My responsibilities are pretty diverse. "Ryan, update the schedule on the website, will you?" Samantha, one of my senior colleagues, handed me a calendar filled with upcoming school events and performances. Among them, one event stood out, written in bold red letters: 3 months from now, World Dance. World Dance? Yes, our branch's top team qualified. The news just came in, and Mr. Carter, the director, is over the moon. We need to post this on the homepage ASAP. Make it the main highlight over the other events, okay? So, this is a pretty big competition? What? Ryan, you don't know about World Dance. It's a world-renowned dance contest held in the US every year. According to Samantha, those who place in the top ranks of this contest receive offers to perform from various countries. I see. Sorry, I didn't really know much about it. You're a full-time employee at a dance school. You should know these things. Yeah, you're right. And when you post it on the homepage, make sure you do some research on the competition too. With a slightly exasperated look, Samantha walked away. I figured dealing with a clueless junior like me must be a hassle for her. But I just shrugged it off and started working at my desk. The whole school was buzzing with excitement over our entry into World Dance. Every now and then, Mr. Carter and senior staff from the main office would drop by to watch the practice sessions, engaging in serious discussions with the coaches and dancers. I was tasked with filming all of this. The footage would be posted online as part of our promotional strategy. Just participating in a world-class dance competition was enough to attract attention in the industry. It was a way to increase exposure and draw in aspiring dancers. Since filming didn't require specialized dance knowledge, I was entrusted with the job. A logical decision, really. Day after day, I captured practice sessions in the school's atmosphere, edited the footage, and submitted it for review. I wasn't sure if this would continue until the competition or if I'd be reassigned once we had enough footage. There was no way they'd send a mere administrator to travel and film the competition. The travel costs alone would be outrageous. As the World Dance Competition drew closer, just 2 months away, the atmosphere among the contestants became tense. Because of that, their formation started to fall apart and careless mistakes became more frequent. They were slipping into a minor slump right before the big event. Sensing this, the coach called in someone from the main office. Her name was Emily. She was an exceptional producer overseeing various dance teams from headquarters. Not only was she highly knowledgeable about dance, but she also had a long-standing relationship with the coach. She had come to observe the scene and help the contestants break out of their slump. Since she was a producer, I expected a serious-looking person in a formal suit. But when I entered the studio with my filming equipment as usual, I saw a lively and stunning woman standing there. She had light brown hair tied in a ponytail and a tall, slender figure. Dressed in a t-shirt and track pants, she looked ready to coach in person. Yet, even in a plain white t-shirt, her sharp features made it look like high-end fashion. She was definitely a true professional. And another thing made her appearance even more striking. Her posture was flawless. Keeping a straight back at all times must have been tough, yet she never slouched or bent even once during the lesson. "Ryan, right? I'm Emily. Nice to meet you." "Oh, yeah, nice to meet you too." During the break, Emily approached me while I was reviewing the recorded footage. "The staff told me you've been filming all the practices. I'd like to check out their past training sessions, their best moments, how they looked when they were in top shape. Do you mind showing me the footage?" "Of course, no problem." I led Emily to the office. She must have been tired too, yet she wasn't even taking a break. She really was full of energy, just like she looked. Here it is. I had organized the footage into folders by date on the computer. As I explained their conditions over time and pointed out when their performance started to decline, Emily watched the videos with great interest. Someone at her level could probably notice things in these recordings that I wouldn't even realize. As I sorted through today's footage, I waited for her reaction. A few moments later, she let out a voice of admiration. "This is incredible. These are really well shot." "Huh? You filmed all of these yourself?" Yeah, I did." Was she complimenting me, not the dancers? "These clips, and these ones too, you have a great eye for capturing the best angles and timing." "Well, I've been watching them dance for a while now. I do work for this company, after all. It's more than that. The camera work, the timing. It's so good that I'm drawn in, even without any editing. I appreciate that, but I do keep in mind that these are for promotional use. Maybe I have a little talent for video work." I laughed it off, but Emily didn't seem convinced. "That may be true, but this footage, the parts where you filmed their freestyle practice, the voice giving them directions, that's you, isn't it?" Yeah, that's me. It was from when I was filming individual introductions. I had each dancer stand in front of the camera and gave them simple instructions before having them dance for about a minute. Your directions were spot on. You know exactly what makes each of them shine and what their strengths are. I mean, I've been watching them for a few years now. Has no one ever pointed this out before? No, not really. That's right. Until Emily pointed it out, I had never been praised like this before. That's why I was so confused, and at the same time unsettled. "Ryan, have you ever danced before?" "No, not even once." "I see." Emily asked me that out of nowhere, then, without another word, went back to reviewing the footage. 2 months later, I was in the United States. I couldn't help but question how I ended up in this situation, but apparently, it was all thanks to Emily. She personally went to Mr. Carter and insisted, "I want Ryan to handle the filming on the day of the competition." And without any hesitation, he agreed. It seemed like Mr. Carter had complete trust in Emily, and there was no reason to oppose her suggestion. Of course, they had also hired a professional cameraman. But Emily wanted to use my footage not just for PR, but as material for future students at the school. With expectations that high, I had no choice but to take my job seriously. I stood in the corner of the waiting room, running a final check on my equipment. The competition was a 2-day event. On the first day, 20 teams would be narrowed down to just 4. Then, a week later, the final round would take place. Thanks to Emily's guidance, the team had overcome their slump, but just before their performance, they were radiating a sharp, tense energy. Not wanting to disturb anyone, I quietly slipped out of the waiting room and into the hallway. The hallways were bustling with people from all over the world. Some teams had already finished their performances, while others leaned against the walls, mentally preparing themselves. Even though I wasn't a contestant, I could feel the pressure in the air. It was enough to make me nervous. Amid the crowd, a familiar face was walking toward me. The moment our eyes met, I froze as if paralyzed. He, too, looked at me in disbelief. Ryan? No way. It's really you. Tyler? He was someone I knew. No, more than that, we had once pushed each other to our limits. What are you doing here? Don't tell me. You're with one of the Japanese teams? I'm just an administrator at the school. I'm only here to film. Tyler had looked surprised at first, but upon hearing my answer, he exhaled sharply and laughed through his nose. Yeah, makes sense. No way you'd ever compete in World Dance. Yeah. You gave up and walked away from the stage. Thinking you could ever return would be pretty arrogant. I didn't want to have this conversation. I gave a vague nod, but Tyler frowned, clearly unimpressed with my reaction. You really have lost your edge. You're still competing, right? Obviously. You do know I'm part of an American team now, right? Yeah, I heard. I'm way beyond your level now. The fact that I'm standing here proves that. He looked around with pride. He must have been overwhelmed by the joy of finally standing on his dream stage. Of course, I understood. Well, make sure you film my performance too. You might learn something from it. Oh, wait, never mind. You're just a washed-up coward who ran away. Later. He gave me a light shove on the shoulder before walking away. I didn't want to watch him leave, yet, for some reason, maybe some lingering attachment, I turned around. But the person in my sight wasn't Tyler, it was Emily. Emily? Ryan, I was looking for you. Yeah, is it about the filming? That too, but was that Tyler just now? Tyler was a well-known dancer in Japan. It was no surprise that she recognized him. You two know each other? You seemed close, or at least like you've known each other a long time. Yeah, back in school. Wait, did you hear all that? A little. Judging by her expression, she had heard most of it. Still, she didn't press further and smoothly shifted the conversation back to business. And then, the moment arrived. The performance. Their routine was flawless, there was nothing to criticize. I was so absorbed in capturing their movements that I completely forgot about my earlier encounter with Tyler. The results were beyond expectations. Our team had placed first. No one had anticipated it, and in the waiting room, everyone was jumping for joy. To prepare for the finals in a week, we quickly returned to the hotel. As I was about to leave the venue, someone suddenly grabbed my arm, nearly making me stumble. Whoa, Tyler. The one who had pulled me back was Tyler. He was glaring at me with clear frustration. I could already guess the reason. His team had also made it to the finals, but they had placed second. He clearly wasn't happy about it. How the hell did your team get first place while mine ended up second? I mean, you heard the judges' feedback, right? Besides, I'm not even competing, so I have nothing to do with it. Not that he expected any real answer from me. He was just looking for someone beneath him to vent his frustration on. And unfortunately, I was the perfect target. If I said anything about the skill difference, it would only make him angrier. As I tried to figure out how to escape the situation, someone came to my rescue. Ryan, I needed to talk to you about tomorrow. Oh, am I interrupting something? It was Emily. I thought she had already gone back to the hotel, but apparently she had been looking for me. No, not at all. Let's go. It was a bit forceful, but it gave me the perfect excuse to leave. Tyler called out after me, running away again, huh? Loser. I ignored him. Sorry, what did you need to talk about? Nothing, really. She gave me a playful wink and shrugged. She had come back just to help me out. Thanks, that really saved me. No, let's head back. Emily and I walked toward the hotel. The silence between us felt heavy, so I finally broke it. I used to dance a little. Tyler and I were in the same class back then. Yeah, I figured as much. As we passed by a park, Emily smiled at a group of kids dancing together. I used to be just like them. Her eyes softened as she spoke, lost in nostalgia. I started learning dance when I was little. I competed in contests, even won a few awards. I was convinced I had talent, that I was going to go pro someday, but in the end, I was just someone who could dance a little. I wasn't surprised. Emily's eye for talent and her understanding of movement must have come from first-hand experience. And I knew all too well, dreams don't always come true. She stepped into the park and started dancing lightly. Her movements were part of our team's routine. With her tall, slender frame and natural grace, she moved effortlessly. Her posture never wavered. She didn't look like someone who had left the stage. But when she went for a turn, her foot didn't quite follow through. I practice sometimes, but I can't move like I used to. Still, you had amazing sharpness. It didn't look like you'd been away at all. Thanks, but I know my limits. It hit me hard back when I was transitioning from high school to college. I suddenly realized I had reached my peak. It was a shock, but there are a lot of people like me. And wasting time crying about it didn't seem worth it. There was no bitterness in her voice. She smiled as she scrolled through a group photo we had taken earlier. I love dance, but I can't stay on stage forever. So I thought, if I can't dance, I'll help others take the stage instead. That's why I chose this job. My dream now is to help the kids who believe in me make their dreams come true. Emily's gaze was warm as she looked at me. I had a feeling you used to dance, but I also knew you didn't want to talk about it, so I didn't push. Thanks for that. You don't need to thank me, but man, it's a shame. If we had met when you were still dancing, I could have seen you in action. She murmured as if picturing it. She was so strong. Even if she couldn't dance anymore, she had found a new dream and was chasing it. I had learned something important tonight. If you ever need help with work, I'm here. Oh, then I'll be sure to work you hard. As we discussed final performance adjustments, we walked back to join the others. A week passed. Emily and I worked together, fine-tuning the choreography, adjusting steps based on what we observed from other competitors, and making suggestions to the team. Some wondered, why is Ryan involved? But no one interrupted us. Our intensity spoke for itself. We were the final team to perform in the championship. The judges would be exhausted by then, so we focused on making sure the performance held their attention until the very last second. And then, the day arrived. After finishing the stage rehearsal, I returned to the waiting room a little late, only to be met with chaos. A staff member shouted, "The costumes are missing, all of them." For a moment, I couldn't process what I had just heard. Before leaving for rehearsal, all the costumes had been neatly hung on racks. But now, they were nowhere to be found. Everyone searched the room, turning it upside down, but the costumes were gone. No one had taken them outside. Who could have done this? There were 10 dancers. It was impossible to prepare new outfits now. Right now, everyone was just wearing colorful t-shirts. We couldn't go on stage like this. This is bad. It's starting. On the monitor, I saw the first team already performing. The staff panicked, and some of the dancers started crying. A few people rushed off, looking for any nearby costume rental shops. As soon as the first performance ended, a staff member came to call us for preparation. But when they saw that we weren't even in costume, they were shocked. We explained the situation, but finding 10 matching outfits on such short notice was impossible. We worked so hard for this. If only we had prepared spare costumes. One by one, people sank to the floor in despair. Emily clenched her fists, shaking with frustration as she looked around at the devastated team. My dream now is to help the kids who believe in me make their dreams come true. Her words echoed in my mind. For now, let's go to the stage. Maybe someone move the costumes. I knew it was a false hope, but we couldn't just sit here and let the competition end like this. Clinging to the slimmest possibility, everyone hurried to the backstage area. But the costumes weren't there either. A third team was performing. We were next. It's over. I wanted to dance so badly. Tears welled up in their eyes as they cried out in frustration. Their carefully done stage makeup was now a mess. I couldn't let this be the moment that sent them down the path of defeat. I'll buy us some time, fix your makeup while you can. Everyone stared at me, dumbfounded. Huh? Buy time? What are you even going to do? Nothing. But doing nothing is worse. No matter how ridiculous it looks, no matter if we get booed off the stage, you earn this spot. You asterisk deserve asterisk to be on that stage. The announcement came. Our team name was called. Everyone froze, staring at the stage. No one moved. I'll wait for you until you're ready. I turned to Emily one last time, then I stepped into the spotlight. Unlike last week, this time I was alone. The audience erupted into murmurs at the sight of a single guy in a t-shirt walking toward the center of the stage. What the hell is this? Hey, get off the stage, you don't belong here. Even the judges were exchanging confused glances, whispering among themselves. As I stared at the stage floor, memories of all the training sessions flashed through my mind. I stopped walking and signaled to the sound crew that I was ready. A beat of silence, then our competition track began to play. I started dancing. I performed the main dancer's choreography. And I could feel it, the atmosphere in the venue changed. The audience had been restless just moments ago, but now they were locked onto me. Since the routine was designed for 10 people to rotate as the lead, I improvised the transitions to make them seamless. Good thing I was wearing comfortable shoes, even if I was still just in a t-shirt. Instead of booing, the audience watched with fascination. The unexpected solo performance had caught their attention. They didn't fully understand what was happening. And that was fine. I was only here to buy them time. But then, I ran into a problem. There was a part of the routine where dancers paired up and held hands. Dancing that part alone would look completely unnatural. I had hoped to stick to the original choreography as much as possible, but I might have to improvise. Just as I made up my mind, someone took my hand. Emily, watching you dance made me want to join in. She too was dressed casually. Yet, she still stepped forward to stand beside me. How's everyone doing? They're okay. Your dance gave them courage. They're fixing their makeup and warming up. We recreated the choreography, which was meant to be performed by the entire team, just the two of us. Emily matched my improvisations, helping to make up for the missing numbers and keeping the performance dynamic. Emily, you're still an amazing dancer. Hearing that from you gives me confidence. And then, as we finished our duo section, we reached the moment where the full team was supposed to form a circle. At that instant, the others rushed onto the stage in their colorful t-shirts. As if it had all been planned, they seamlessly took our places and continued the performance. Emily and I moved to the back, taking on supporting roles to highlight the 10 dancers at the front. The 10-minute routine came to an end. They struck our final pose perfectly in sync. We had given it everything we had. Of course, given the circumstances, we were probably disqualified from the official rankings. But at the very least, this would be a good memory for them. I just hoped that this experience wouldn't break them, that they wouldn't give up on their dreams. The audience's reaction went beyond anything I had imagined. People in the crowd stood up, clapping and cheering loudly. Whistles rang out, arms shot into the air, voices shouted in excitement. A standing ovation. The students, experiencing this kind of overwhelming praise for the first time, stood there in stunned silence. A moment later, Emily and I bowed. The others followed suit, still in a daze, before stepping off stage. Back in the waiting room, we gathered around the monitor. All the remaining teams were waiting for the results to be announced. Our 10 dancers were among them. I wasn't expecting us to win. Our registered lineup was different. We performed in t-shirts. I had started the performance solo. There had to be more deductions than I could count. But they had fought with everything they had. No matter the outcome, they could be proud of what they did. At least, that's what I thought until our team's name was called for first place. We all exchanged looks, unsure if we had heard correctly. Our eyes snapped back to the monitor. On stage, our team had the same bewildered expression. The host repeated our name. And then, both the waiting room and the stage erupted into chaos. "No way. I can't believe it," Emily whispered. I couldn't believe it either. But while Emily and I were frozen in shock, the other staff were pumping their fists, shaking hands, hugging. The students were crying, embracing each other, overcame with emotion. I stared at the awards ceremony, still in disbelief. And then the waiting room doors swung open. A man locked eyes with me and immediately walked over, one of the judges, the owner of a major American theater company. "Your dancing was absolutely incredible." He grabbed my hand, speaking excitedly. I could only catch bits and pieces of his rapid English, but I understood the gist. He was deeply moved by my performance. Even though he knew it was an improvised act, the quality of it amazed him. He asked for my name, and when I told him, his eyes widened in shock. "Wait, you're Ryan? Asterisk, the Ryan? I can't believe this. Meeting you here, what are the chances?" "What's he saying?" Samantha, standing behind me, asked. He's happy to meet me." "What? Why?" "Apparently, he knows who I am. For several years, I had been a professional dancer. I was based in the US, performed on countless stages alongside various artists, and was even called a dance prodigy. It had been the most exhilarating time of my life. But in my mid-20s, I was diagnosed with a heart condition. I spent 3 years in and out of hospitals, undergoing surgeries. And after that, I was forbidden from doing any strenuous physical activity. If I wanted to stay alive, I had to give up being a dancer. Without dance, I felt like I had nothing left. But I still clung to this world, working at a dance school, even if just on the sidelines. The judge expressed his hope that I would return to the stage. But during the performance, I had already felt my chest tightening. I had taken my medication as soon as I left the stage. I knew I could never keep dancing like before. But maybe I could chase a new dream. Like Emily, I could find another way to be part of this world. A thought crossed my mind: choreography. For the past week, Emily and I had worked tirelessly on the routine. We adjusted the choreography to minimize strain while maximizing impact, and the dancers had brought it to life. Without choreography, there is no dance. When I voiced this idea, the judge immediately handed me his business card. He wanted me to work with his theater company. Everything was moving so fast. But of course, good things never come without complications. What the hell was that performance? Before I could react, someone grabbed my shirt collar. Tyler. His team had placed second. He must have come straight from the awards ceremony to find me. How the hell did a failure like you win first place? This whole competition must be a joke. I know. You think you actually deserved that win? Your team only won because of the gimmick. Hey, wait, what's that? One of our students suddenly pointed at Tyler's bag. A red string peeked out from the partially open zipper of his sports bag. Hold on, give me that bag. What the? Hands off my stuff. Tyler tried to resist, but Emily snatched the bag from him with ease. She unzipped it. Inside, crammed tightly together, were our team's missing costumes. "What the hell is this?" Emily stepped forward, cornering Tyler as he instinctively took a step back. A crowd had started to gather, blocking any chance for him to escape. Did you really steal our costumes just because you were afraid of losing?" I couldn't lose to you," Tyler shouted, his frustration boiling over. "Unlike some dance school hobbyists, this is my career. My life depends on this. If you're so scared of losing to a so-called hobbyist, then you have no right to destroy the hard work of others." Emily's words cut through the air like a blade. Tyler clenched his fists, his face twisted in anger, but there was nothing left for him to say. Security and event staff, alerted by the commotion, stepped in and took him away. Later, I heard what happened. Because of his actions, his team's ranking was lowered due to unsportsmanlike conduct, and he was forced to take responsibility. He was expelled from his team. A scandal like this, at a world-class competition, quickly spread throughout the industry. Naturally, no other group was willing to take him in. And after that, his name simply disappeared from the dance world. Meanwhile, I took that business card and flew to America. I started a new chapter of my life as a choreographer, working with various artists. At the same time, my former dance school invited me back as a coach. Every time I returned to Japan, I made sure to visit and teach. Emily, too, gained recognition after the competition. Her reputation as a dance producer soared. Like me, she now traveled back and forth between Japan and the US. Next year, I was asked to choreograph for a team that Emily was producing. Our work brought us together often, and somewhere along the way, we had become close friends, meeting up outside of work, just to spend time together. All of this happened because you took that first brave step forward, Emily told me over and over. But the truth was, she had been the one who made that step possible. I had learned something invaluable. Effort doesn't just sharpen skills, it moves people. If our hard work could inspire others to chase their dreams, then that alone made it all worth it. Failure wasn't the end of the road. Every success, every setback, it all led me to where I was today. And to prove that, Emily and I would keep moving forward, feet firmly planted, chasing our dreams.